everybody on YouTube? CodyRay118 here for another video. In today's video, I'm going to do a response to Rob, aka Movie Review Time. He did a video about a few days ago showing his favorite sequel horror movies, which was a good idea. He also did ask us to do a response to anybody that would like to share their favorites. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you guys my favorite sequel movies on physical media, of course. So got all the sequel movies out. So first up, this is probably the best of the franchise. Phantasm 2. This movie is so fantastic. Although Michael was replaced by another actor, which I'm fine with it. He did a pretty damn good job. And I do think this is the best of the franchise. Next up, this is probably one of the most underrated franchise. Hatchet 2. Not a lot of people like that one, but I liked it. This one's probably one of the most popular sequel. Halloween 2. Not the Rob Zombie one. So, definitely one of the underrated Halloween movies. First up, Child's Play 2. I don't have the title itself. Got it with this, so this DVD set's fucking awesome. Next up, this one's people did not like it because it wasn't taken serious, but I was actually fine with this. I loved it since I first saw it, which is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. Dennis Hopper was fucking awesome in here. He was like a crazy wild man hunting the Sawyer family. So, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 is amazing. Resident Evil Apocalypse. This is my favorite of the whole franchise. I really lost interest in the Resident Evil franchise by Afterlife. So, I think the first three are the best. But this one's my personal favorite. Next up, one of the best zombie movies ever. George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead. Next up, also one of my favorites of the franchise, Saw 2. Same with Resident Evil. I liked the first three of these. Those 4 and 5 and 6 are just they're alright. I don't hate them. It's just they're just not as good like these first three. So Saw 2 is my personal favorite too. Next up, Jeepers Creepers 2. This is a pretty decent movie. It is better than Part 3. Of course, the first one will be the best. So, Part 2 is pretty good. Next up, Leprechaun 2. I think it was Leprechaun 2 I first saw it before I saw the first one. So, this is also one of my favorites. Warwick Davis was so fantastic at Leprechaun. Even the new guy who did the last one, the Leprechaun, Leprechaun Returns. God, I kind of got the title mixed up with Origins, because Origins is complete garbage. So Leprechaun Returns, that was actually a pretty good one, since it's also a direct sequel to the first. So, anyways, yep, Leprechaun 2, awesome movie. Another one that also gets like a mixed review, but I like it, which is a sequel to a remake, Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning. So, it is like actually not a sequel; it's a prequel. So maybe I should have grabbed the the 2003 remake, since that's basically a sequel to this. But English, yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning. Next one, this one's it was probably considered the most overrated Rob Zombie movies, which is The Devil's Rejects. This is in my opinion, this is probably his best movie. I don't mind House of Thousands of Corpses, but this is pretty much the only movie I can tolerate. I'm just not really a big fan of his movies, but there are some that I do like. So, but just some of his movies is just can't get into. Next up, Wolf Creek 2. The poor guy in this movie when he gets all the torture. You know, I do like the first a bit better, but this is still a good movie. I recommend anybody to watch it. If you like Saw, you'll like this. Next up, Psycho 2, which I love all the Psycho movies equally. I think they're all fantastic, even the prequel. Anthony Perkins does return his role as Norman Bates. I think Part 2 is probably the best sequel to. Next up, Hellraiser 2 Hellbound. And this one actually opens up, kind of gives you a little details on the movie, so which is pretty cool. This one's this one I don't really consider horror, but since the first one was pretty much horror, I might as well just include it, which is Aliens. This is probably the best Aliens movie. So, yeah, I also liked Alien Resurrection. I thought that one was pretty good. So, next up, Friday the 13th, Part 2. Part 2, in my opinion, I think is the best. I just love how they introduce Chase and, just this. How did this guy live in the woods after 30 years? He's supposed to be dead, but I thought Part 2 was just great. Next up, this is probably, I thought it was decent. It's not that popular, but in my opinion, it's pretty good for what it was. Jaws 2. Next up, another sequel nobody really cares about, but I enjoyed it. From Dusk Till Dawn 2. Next up, another movie that people kind of shit on, but I actually enjoyed it, even the first time I saw it when I was a kid. Ghostbusters 2. And the final one for the video, which is House 2, which it's not like a kind of a horror. It's kind of like has quite a bit of comedy in it. So House 2, the second story, is pretty damn good. I haven't seen 3 or 4 yet, so I only saw the first 2 of this. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's most of my favorite sequel horror movies. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out Rob's channel. I will link his channel in the description box below. And I'll see you all later.